We will now talk about customer value, and this is a part of what is marketing, which is chapter 1. What is customer value? Let's define it. Well, customer value in general is seen as the difference between perceived benefits and perceived sacrifice. An important word here is perceived, because this is how each individual perceives or thinks about particular things. Okay, so what is important for me doesn't mean that it will be important for you, and vice versa. So essentially, consumers or customers are weighing the benefits that they get from buying that particular product or service and with the sacrifice that they make. So let's break it down a little bit further to understand more what kind of benefits are we talking about and what kind of sacrifices. In terms of the benefits, consumers or customers can derive benefits from product itself, for example, features of a product. The benefits can be derived from the service, maybe quick and speedy service. The benefits can be relational in nature. Maybe you like staying with a particular bank because of a relationship you developed with a mortgage advisor and so forth, or equally with a broker firm. There might be image related benefits. Maybe someone likes to buy Apple phone because of the image, how it looked, sleek, a beautiful design, and all of that, other than features and so forth. So, in general, as you can see, benefits have different categories, right? And every individual will assign different value to each of them. Now, if you look at the right hand side, this is perceived sacrifice, and it's no longer about the money. It's not just how much it costs that matter. These are the time costs involved. How much time does it take me to buy the particular thing? Maybe I need to maybe the process of buying is complicated. I need to call a company and wait many minutes over the phone. So this is the time investment I'm making. Or maybe it's not available online and I have to travel somewhere to buy something. These are also the energy costs. Well, now imagine if you have to compare 10 or 20 different laptops or 10 or 20 different smartphones before you make a purchasing decision. So there's a lot of energy costs, in particular if you want to do it well, because there are so many things to compare. Also, these are the psychological costs. Sometimes we like to refer to this as cognitive dissonance in marketing, where there is particular worry that is arising from whether I made right or not right choice. So this is in terms of like psychology. Say if I buy a new smartphone which I've never used before and no one else among the people I know uses it, well, there might be like psychological costs involved, because where do I go if things go wrong and so forth. So as you can see, perceived sacrifice is really not just about the money. There are so many other things involved, and consumers are weighing whether it's worth the effort. I'd like to look into more detail into the elements of value, and my presentation of this is really based on the Reading the Elements of Value by Harvard researchers, published in 2016. So they've done a great job there, and I'd like to provide you a summary and highlights. Well, when customers or consumers evaluate a product or service, they really try to weigh the perceived value or benefits against the sacrifice, right? You can say asking price, but now, as we know, there are more things involved than just like the monetary side of things. What consumers or customers truly value, however, can be very difficult to define, and psychologically it's a bit complicated. The amount and nature of value in a particular product or service would always lie in the eye of the consumer. And remember that value is man-made, is actually a fictional thing. It only has value to a man. So why do we need to know all that? Well, a rigorous model of consumer value would allow a company to come up with new combinations of value, and actually the right combinations of it, based on the analysis and research, shows that it pays off in the longer term. Consumers develop greater loyalty, greater willingness to buy or try a particular product or a brand, and sustain revenue growth in the future. So there are clear advantages for companies to focus on the elements of value, because after all, we as customers or consumers, we don't simply buy a product, we buy a solution. So we're looking for the value, what would it give us? So Harvard researchers in this paper have identified 30 elements of value in total, and they're presented as a pyramid here. So these elements of value are actually fundamental attributes or principles in the most essential and discrete forms. These elements fall into 4 different categories from the bottom to the top: functional, emotional, life-changing, and social impact. You might see that some elements are a little bit more inwardly focused, primarily addressing consumers' personal needs, whilst others are more outwardly focused, helping consumers interact and navigate the external world. So when the researchers run this study, they said in their research they didn't simply accept on its face when consumers would say that certain product attribute is important, but we try to explore what underlies particular statements. So for example, if a customer says that they like the bank because it's convenient, well, the value derives from some combination of the functional elements such as saving time, maybe avoiding hassle, simplification reduces effort. And they say also when someone owning, say, a Rolex watch that is worth $50,000 talks about the quality of the product and say the pictures it takes, an underlying life-changing element is actually self-actualization, which is a part of life-changing element, as you can see. And it arises from the pride of owning a famous watch. This model traces back its conceptual roots to the psychologist Abraham Maslow and his developed hierarchy of needs, which was first published in 1943. So if you're not familiar with that, I would really suggest that you look it up. Actually, Maslow argued that human actions arise from an innate desire to fulfill needs ranging from the very basic needs such as security, warmth, food, rest, to the more complex needs such as self-esteem and altruism. And basically, the similar kind of principle is followed when designing this model, but you can read more details in the paper if you wish to. So the relevance of elements would vary across different industries, cultures, demographics. Researchers initially assumed that the companies that performed well on multiple elements of the value would have more loyal customers than the rest. And their research has confirmed that more is clearly better. However, they also acknowledge that it's unrealistic, simply it's impossible to try and inject all 30 elements into any product. Even some of the best rated companies in this research, such as Apple, one of the best performance they studied, scored high on only 11 out of 30 elements. So companies have to really choose their elements strategically and really not try to inject all of them, but those that are important to consumers and those obviously that they are able to deliver on. Some elements would matter more than the others, so if you compare across different industries, you would see, as on the right side is presented, you would see that perceived quality would affect customer advocacy more than any other element in all of the industries, really. So the assumption is that products and services must kind of achieve a certain minimum level of the quality, and no other element can really make up for a shortfall on this one. But after quality, the critical elements would really depend on the industry, as you can see on the slide. So hope this was helpful. Thank you.